Good morning from Memphis. It is 3:15 a.m. on the morning of June 22nd, 2022. And happy birthday to my dear sister Julia up in Cleveland, Ohio. Actually, Parma, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. I'll be calling her later today. Actually, I'll be sending her this video. But nevertheless, I'm out here doing my nightly meditation and contemplation, and I cannot help myself. It's difficult for me not to make videos when I see something as spectacular as this. We've got here is the moon between Jupiter on the upper right and Mars just to the left of the moon. I'll zoom in and you can see Mars to the left of the moon. I talked a little bit about Jupiter last night. Mars is 1/10 the mass of the Earth. So if Earth weighed 10 pounds, Mars would weigh 1 pound. And Mars is 141 million miles from the Sun on average. Earth is 93 million miles. So about half again as far. The surface gravity of Mars is 1/3, or 38%, so roughly 1/3 of the Earth's gravity at the surface. Mars has 2 moons, both of which orbit very close to the planet. They're smaller than our moon, but since they're much closer to the planet, they're quite visible in the night sky. And I've stated in other videos how it would be cool to have 2 moons in the sky, but I'm happy with the one that we've got. Mars has a thin atmosphere of mostly carbon dioxide, 95% carbon dioxide, 5% other gases, nitrogen, oxygen, argon, neon, tiny bit of water vapor. So it's not breathable, but it's enough to protect the surface from meteoroids, but definitely not breathable. And the orbital period of Mars is 687 days, so not quite 2 years. 2 years is 730 days. So roughly 43 days short of 2 years. So the seasons on Mars are almost twice as long as they are on Earth. And the axial tilt is very similar to the axial tilt on Earth. Mars is 25 degrees. So the seasons are similar to Earth. Earth's axial tilt is 23 degrees. So the seasons are similar. Of course, the temperatures are lower, quite a bit colder. Although a summertime day at the equator can reach roughly 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but every single night the temperature drops to roughly minus 150 degrees Fahrenheit. I was going to say Celsius, but it's minus 150 degrees Fahrenheit every single night. It's because the atmosphere does not hold the heat, so it cools off very quickly. When the sun goes down, it gets cold fast. And we can be sure that the winters are much, much colder in the high latitudes, north and south high latitudes. So there would be challenges to colonizing Mars, but nevertheless, it's doable if we have the perseverance to continue. And I think we will eventually get there. Right, not as soon as people talk about us getting there, but nevertheless, I think we will eventually get there. Of course, I spoke about Jupiter last night. 500 million miles from the sun, actually 490 million miles on average, but roughly 500 million miles. So 5 times farther out than we are. The average temperature there's a bone-chilling minus 200 degrees Fahrenheit, even during the daytime. So, needless to say, the challenges of going there would be quite a bit greater, but we could still do it. I spoke in last night's video about Jupiter being 44 times the diameter of the moon, so if Jupiter were placed where the moon was, or is, it would be 44 times bigger. It would be just an awesome sight. And Mars is half the size of the Earth, twice the size of the moon. So if Mars were placed where the moon is, it would be twice the size. That would be still cool to look at. We'd be able to see changes on the surface, because Mars does have an atmosphere, so the surface markings do change. We could see its 2 moons orbiting. That would just be really cool, but Mars's gravity is stronger than the moon, so it would raise significantly higher tides here on Earth. But nevertheless, this is a cool sight here. The moon between Jupiter and Mars. Of course, Saturn is still up here. We talked a little bit about that last night. See if I can zoom in. There it is. 80 known moons as well. And 900 million miles from the sun. Almost 1 billion miles out, so. But a couple more things about Jupiter I forgot to mention. Since it's 5 times farther from the sun than we are, it gets 1/25 as much sunlight due to the inverse square law. So 25 times less sunlight, less radiation from the sun at Jupiter. And Jupiter takes 12 years to orbit the sun once. Saturn takes 29.5 Earth years to orbit the sun once. And gets only 1/100th, roughly 1/100th, the amount of solar radiation that we get here on Earth. Zoom in a little bit. Only 1/100th the solar radiation that we get here at Earth. So you can well imagine how cold it is out there. Minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. But we've created temperatures colder than that here on Earth. When I was a child, I had a couple warts removed on one of my fingers with frozen nitrogen, and that was colder than that. The temperature of that was like minus 300 some degrees Fahrenheit. So I remember that distinctly. We've created or condensed helium, made it liquid helium. That's like minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It's unimaginably cold, but still minus 290 Fahrenheit is pretty darn chilly. And today was the first full day of summer here in Memphis. The solstice was yesterday. So, not too bad. It was a little on the warm side, but that's normal. Nothing new. Tomorrow's going to be a hot day too, but that's okay. We expect that. Nothing new. And I rehearsed some music with one of my bandmates earlier this evening. We had a good time doing that, getting ready for the next farmers market gig on July 8th. I've also got a retirement center gig on Saturday. And also I'm volunteering at a blues festival in Mississippi on Saturday. And I've got a rehearsal tomorrow with another singer who I'm doing a talent show with in July. We're doing 2 show tunes, one from the musical West Side Story called I Feel Pretty, and the other one from My Fair Lady, I Could Have Danced All Night. She's going to sing those, and I'm going to accompany her, so we're working those up. That's going to be fun. Also Friday, I've got a performance with the RVSP Chorus. That's my men's barber shop singing group. We've got a performance at a retirement center in Germantown called Germantown Village. So it's not a paying gig, but nevertheless it's a chance to perform, and we're looking forward to that. It'll be my first performance with this particular group, so I've got to continue to brush up on those songs as well. So there's a lot going on. I'm keeping myself busy. I've also got a piloting interview tomorrow with a company based in New York, Farmington, New York. I won't be moving there. I'll be able to fly out of Memphis. And they seem interested in me, but we'll see how interested they are when I start to interview them, ask them questions. So that's where we always find out. You know, when you start to ask them questions and put them on the spot a little bit, are they still interested? But that's okay. We need to interview companies as well as letting them interview us. So, again, this is the early morning hours of June 22nd, 2022 in Memphis.